Alright, just waiting on the countdown here. And
All right. That sounds good.
So while both of our runners make their way through the nice and easy escape, we'll kind of introduce both of them. On your left side of your screen is V0oid. Pretty well-known donkey runner. Has really fantastic times in all three games. Also has, you know, some good times in this game and a lot of other ones. Just a pretty well-rounded speedrunner. And on our right, we have SpaceKatUniverse. Pretty new to this game. She actually, I think the first time she ever beat this game was only about 6 months ago, and she's already putting up really good times. So it's really cool to see that.
And if you're new to A Link to the Past, this is our general route that we headed to escape. We find our pretty hurt uncle who passes on his fighter sword, letting us know that there's a damsel in distress who needs our assistance. Link, I can't do this job anymore, but here's my sword and shield. Take care of it.
I'm still waiting for the run where Uncle just takes care of everything for you, and you can just stay in bed all night. That'd be pretty dope.
We're about to head to the first stairs where we can talk about stair lag. You'll see most runners, when they head out of these doorways, they're not going to go straight down because there's a stair lag there. So they'll either turn left or right and make their way down.
Yeah, one of the many little optimizations that this game has, just tiny little things like that that just can add up throughout the course of an entire run.
You also notice V0oid's kind of along those walls, and what he's doing there is he's doing this pumping technique. We won't get a little too technical on that. If you want to know what pumping is in more technical terms, you can type pumping in chat, or Helmasaur will explain it in technical detail. But the idea of it is to help your speed reset to 2 instead of 1, and that's why we do it.
I wanted to know, so I typed it.
And our first little mini boss is this ball and chain guard. V0oid looks like he's going to go opt for the 8/ technique, and looks like the cat's doing the same.
Pretty nice fight from both of them. Took 1 hit each, but that's not too bad.
We get our first, or actually our second item of the game. Technically, you could grab the lamp in Link's house. You can actually grab it in one of 3 places, but this is the ideal spot where you pick up the lamp.
Right, not only is it the fast, that it also allows you to not have to menu to have your boomerang out, which can help you in a few different spots throughout the escape and early on.
You also notice the runners definitely going to be using that boomerang around the enemies, because it's actually much quicker to stun the enemies with the boomerang and just move, other than try to slash them out of the way. Alright, we're about to head into the basement half of Escape, where we're going to see sewers and stuff. This is generally where we're going to see more RNG, where there will be ropa snakes and rats, and hopefully that won't hurt our runners today. Let's hope they get a quick escape. Our general time we're looking for is about sub 6. That's a pretty good time.
Yeah, you're generally not going to see any major time gains or losses in the sewers, but some of these patterns with the different ropas and the bats and all that can really kind of add up, just little things here and there. So it's pretty difficult to get through kind of optimally to get through the sewers.
They're soon gonna head to this key rat, which usually is the most trolly RNG in the sewers, besides the Ropas that we just passed. Hope it doesn't go into that northwest corner.
Decent luck there for Void. And pretty good luck there from Cat as well.
Yeah, this is looking really good for both our runners.
So you saw Void immediately step to the right upon entering that room. There's actually a text box that you can skip by not walking forward as soon as you go in. And as you see, it looks like SpaceKat walked a little bit too far forward, did get that little text box. So not a huge loss, but it is a little something there. Pretty solid escapes from both runners. Not too bad. I expect both of them will be picking up the Sanctuary Heart here. It's a 3-second time loss for quite a bit of safety early on.
There's also a quick switch technique that when you walk towards that switch, you want to hold your A button. So you can just keep holding it and it'll pull that switch. Even before you even walk all the way to the switch, to the exact spot, it already starting to pull the switch automatically. So we're now on our way to our first dungeon for our green pendant, Eastern Palace. And this is the general route we see is we try to avoid these Octoroks on the way as best as we can.
While they're making their way there, I guess we could mention this is Void's first race in Group V, which is a group. Oh geez, I forgot. I asked what the name of the enemy they are. It's apparently the enemy you get when you magic powder one of the pickles. That's the enemy they got as their group name. So this is Void's first race. This is Kat's second race. She lost her earlier race against Bentizi, so she's 0-1, looking for her first win. Kookman, that's what it was. Yes, I had no idea what that was until I found out today. So you learn something new every day. It's great.
Looks like our first cannonball room was not that bad. Pretty good for Void.
So coming up here, and one of the first kind of neat little tricks, Void's going to do some precise movement and throw these pots in such a way that, oh, looks like he accidentally threw that pot up instead of to the right. You can actually throw the pots and kill 2 of the Stalfos before they even spawn, and it just immediately takes you out of the room. We'll see how SpaceKat handles it.
Very nice. All right, textbook. You can see our runners are starting to grab things as they go. Void picked up the arrows on his way through the door because this boss that we're going to see very soon is actually most weak to the arrows.
Yeah, both the Armos Knights and the Landmillis in Desert both take the most damage from arrows. So pretty important early on to kind of grab as many arrow drops as you can without, going too far out of your way for them.
And Void's on his way to the big key skip room. You want to explain what he's trying to do here?
So he's going to take a damage boost off the tentacles, use those iframes to grab the pot, and then step onto the switch, thus avoiding the kind of intended strat of killing all the enemies so that the anti-fairies will spread out. So it saves quite a bit of time. It's a very, very nice trick here in Eastern. Kat didn't quite get the damage boost she wanted, but she does still get the boss key skip. Shoutouts to Sankheart, by the way.
As you can see, you usually need that big key for the big chests, so most of the time when you see our runners grab our items, they'll be in these gigantic chests from our big keys.
We're getting a little bit trolly with those bombs. Oh, and Space Cat takes a death. Looks like she missed the shot on the Igor and kind of messed up her normal strat. Meanwhile, Void rolling into the Armos Knights fight. Gonna be some very precise shots here. Oh, he takes a hit, so this is gonna kind of screw up his strat. You normally want to plan it out so that you leave one of the Armos Knights with 1 HP left, so you can kind of kill both of them and they don't get angry. Void having a little trouble cleaning up this fight. Oh, they're just hopping over the arrows. But he does get out of it.
Alright, nice. Void survives that battle. Yeah, generally you take 2 shots at one of those those Armoses, so later on, as Agahnim has said, you'll be able to shoot it with 1 arrow. But if you do get hit, it kind of ruins the rotation, so it's really hard to recover. But looks like Void did pretty nicely.
Yeah, it's one of those fights that if it doesn't go exactly according to plan, you kind of just have to immediately start winging it. It's hard to get back onto a good strat, depending on where you make a mistake.
Alright, based on where Void is standing, it looks like he may be going for the rupee route.
I think he normally does tree rupees. We'll see if he decides to change his mind for a race. Yep, looks like he's going to go with tree rupees, so we'll talk about that a little bit later in the run. Very nice use of spin speed there. If you charge up your sword and then press A frame after releasing the spin, it puts Link into this kind of weird state where he can't use his sword, but if you walk directly off stairs, it gives you dash speed with also you can corner and stuff like that. So it's used in quite a few rooms throughout the run in order to save a lot of time. So really cool strat.
Alright, time to see how Cat fares. It looks like she's got the pattern right. Great quick kill by Cat there.
Really great Armos Knight fight there.
Looks like Void tried for spin speed again. Yeah, sometimes it's tough to get it to activate. You can't really walk left or right. How you facing when you activate the steps? You have to be up, facing north and south.
Right, and you also have to walk just a slight bit on the steps themselves to get it. Looks like he was maybe a little bit short to actually being, technically on the steps. So, but he eventually gets it. So. Now that Void's learned how to read, he's going to head into the desert. Meanwhile, we'll see what Cat decides to do for a rupee route here. Alright, looks like she's going to take Shahashrala rupees, so a bit of a slower strat, but very consistent. And you know you're going to be set once you need those rupees a little later on.
Smart move by her, saving bombs by bonking into that door hole, because you can bonk into the ones that are more circular. And here's our first book usage. Yes, you do need the book to enter Desert Palace in this game. I know in Randomizer you often see that they can get in with Titan Smitten mirroring, but this is NMG. We don't get that stuff.
Curious to see how much book spam we're going to get out of Void. It's a very important trick. Oh, that's very nice. That's beautiful. So you can just use an item like the book, which has no purpose. It just gives you a little beep beep that you can't do anything with it. So a lot of runners will just spam it during desert because there's no use of any other items anywhere. So Kat has picked up her book and she's on her way to desert as well. Void having a little bit of bad RNG, those cannonballs, it's luck-based, kind of how they fire. Sometimes you can get straight through them without having to stop. Void did have to stop to get through it. Just a tiny little thing, nothing too bad. He's going to pick up some arrows here in this room to kind of refill as he prepares for Landmo.
Yeah, it's good to get those arrows because Landmo has 16 HP, and each one of those arrows do 4 HP, so you want to have enough arrows, and you also want to have some arrows to spare for later dungeons, because you're also going to maximize using those arrows as well.
Yeah, arrows are one of those things that there's pretty much a use for them throughout the entire run. So preserving and getting arrow drops when you can is pretty important if you want to really optimize your time.
Looks like we saw the dangerous spin speed by Void there on the steps. It was good that he pause buffered out with the switching to lamp as well. It's a minute time loss if you fall off.
Yeah, and I think that particular spin speed saves 30 to 40 frames, so it's a very big risk, but with that pause buffer, you kind of mitigate a lot of it, because you can kind of switch what direction you're going on the D-pad to cancel the dash.
You also see the key dash technique where they can unlock doors in this game now, because Link actually moves at 4 pixels. So the trigger to open those doors is also at 4 pixels. So aligning yourself up with objects actually puts you in that state so that you can open these key doors when you dash.
So let's see how Void fares on Landless. This is probably one of the biggest sources of RNG in terms of fights. About the only thing you can really know is where they're going to spawn in that first phase. Everything else past that is just complete reaction.
Yeah, it's very RNG based. They scatter everywhere. So it looks like he got a bunch of arrows off.
His health is a little low. Not too concerning, hopefully, but alright, he cleans up the fight pretty nicely there.
I felt it was a 4 cycle, but I didn't really keep count. It sure looked like one.
I want to say, yeah, I believe that was a 4 cycle as well. So now Void, about to set up for a Japanese 1.0 version exclusive glitch. I guess we haven't talked about that. Both of our runners are running on the Japanese 1.0 version of the game, which allows for a couple of techniques that are only available on that. This one coming up is called Fake Flippers. Basically how it works is, if you are 1 pixel away from a screen transition and start swimming, you can swim to the next screen and the game will stop checking to see if you have the flippers. So by setting that up just precisely, Void used that 1 frame, that 1 pixel, to swim to the next screen and then use the Zora warp, which saves about 8 seconds, so nice little trick there.
Now be very careful. When you are in that state, you can't get hit. If you do get hit, you'll end up in a screen wrap and you can soft lock your game. In this tournament, by our rules, we're allowing you to save and quit immediately if you do get soft locked like that, and you can then start at Link's house.
Yeah, we've seen, I want to say, at least half a dozen soft locks from that Zora, so it's pretty risky, but usually you can handle it so that you don't have to worry about it. Let me see Kat moving into land mode here.
The thing about shooting arrows is also, if the arrow strafes off screen, you actually literally have to wait for the arrow to hit the wall before you can fire another one.
Yeah, you can only have 1 basically in the air at the time, so... Oh, Kat's getting a couple of nasty patterns there, as we see Void picking up the mirror and heading up Death Mountain. Didn't have too many troubles. That screen often can cause a lot of issues. But it looks like Void got through it okay.
As you can see, our Link turned into a bunny. It's because he's missing a certain special item which we'll be receiving soon in this dungeon. But without it, it shows his true self in the Dark World, which is a Blunt Bunny.
Yeah, apparently Link's true self is Blunt Bunny. Did Void mirrored out? Yeah, just a little too soon there. Actually missed the key. He's gonna have to go back down and grab it. Luckily not a major time loss.
And Void's about to head into the dreaded tile room, where you pretty much have to wait for all these tiles to go out. Oh, he does do the bow dash there really quite nicely.
Yeah, it looks like he was actually a little bit too far to the right. You can actually set it up so that you land on the pegs, and if you're standing on pegs when they go up, you basically are given infinite invincibility frames, so you just have to you can do absolutely nothing in this room while that happens. But there's no real time loss if you don't get it, because you have to wait for the tiles regardless.
Meanwhile, Cat did the fake flipper nicely. Yeah, just as I was about to say. I was holding my breath because, oh my god, we've seen runs where we had two runners that basically fake flippered and soft locked simultaneously.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more popular clips that we've seen so far, is the double soft lock. I'm pretty sure everyone at this point will be holding their breath at every single fake flipper after that. Nice strat in that hard hat beetle room. Oh, as I say that, Void misses the throw in the pop. It's still pretty good. There's a lot of strats in that room, and Void went for what I believe is the fastest one, but it's very tricky. So really cool to see the different strats people will go for in different rooms.
And we're going to probably see a bomb jump here to the big chest. This is one of the first bomb jumps we'll see in the game.
Nicely done by Void. So that setup there that Void uses, actually, it's a 2-pixel window to be lined up correctly to get the bomb boost over the hole. So really nicely done.
Another technique Void did there was the bumper skip, sliding right through between the bumper.
Void onto Moldorm now, which is a really cool boss that everybody likes a lot.
The funny part about Moldorm is the rest of his body doesn't hurt you. It's only his head that actually damages you.
Solid fight there from Void.
Now, grabbing his third pendant, he has shown that he has the true potential to be the hero of Hyrule.
Runner's taking a little bit of a high five as Void is piecing out of Hera as Cat is making her way through it.
Cat having that bomb out, I'm wondering if she's gonna do it. Oh, here you go. Remember that earlier iframe thing you were talking about? Here it is.
Yep, so now Cat can just stand there. The tiles will run into her, but they won't hurt her, so she can do kind of whatever she wants for the next 45 seconds. You know, maybe make a sandwich, I don't know, tweet, something, who knows.
And here's that tree rupee route. So the idea of it is you have to kill enemies in order for this rupee route to work. The first tug, if you kill one enemy and such, they'll give you 4 blue rupees, and then once you tug a tree, it'll reset. So now he just resetted it, and he's trying to get 4 red rupees by killing 4 more enemies without taking any hits.
Yeah, we saw him pick up those bushes in order to kill that pickle. That's kind of... The enemies that you kill are very specific in order to set this up correctly. At least the fastest enemies are very specific, so... He made sure that he was killing the correct enemies, so he does get these red rupees, as you need 110 rupees in order to enter Palace of Dungeon, which is our first Dark World dungeon that we'll be coming to. So it looked like about a 24:30 Master Sword time for Void, not too shabby. Taking a bonk on the way out, no big deal. So we've left Zelda with the priest for all of 25 minutes, and she's already been kidnapped again. I don't know why we trusted him.
Yeah, Zelda with the screaming telepathy, letting you know that she's in danger. Oh, cat takes a fall.
Ooh, and that hole does lead you down 2 different floors, so she'll have to climb back up.
Now let's see what Void does when he heads into the tower. He does have sword memes at this time. It's really useful to have this because there's some strategies you can use with the sword memes as you head into the tower here.
Yeah, there's a few of these early rooms. All of Aghanims is basically a lot of rooms where you have to kill either one enemy to get a key or all the enemies to open the door. So all of the strats are kind of based around that, sort of how can you kill all the enemies fastest in order to get through the rooms. So it's some pretty cool stuff. A lot of combat in this section, which is fun.
Successful second try in the bomb jump for Cat. And here's our first technique where you spin attack, and looks like Void's trying to save some arrows, so he uses sword beams instead. And Cat's on her way to the Molten fight. Why Void did the strategy in the second room is he's trying to preserve the prize pack now by dashing to the enemies and killing them. There's a certain prize pack on certain enemies in the game, and you won't be seeing these enemies till later until Turtle Rock. So that's why he's trying to manipulate some of this prize pack by killing certain enemies so that he can have a chance to get a fairy later on Turtle Rock.
Cat had a little bit of a scare there, almost got middle hold by Moldorm, but does manage to get out of the fight, so nice job there.
And with that, she has proven she is worthy of obtaining the Master Sword as well, getting that third pen. Here's one of those rooms that Void is in that you make really good use of the arrows on those red guards.
Looks like he gets good RNG that one guard on the right can either walk down or can walk to the left, and obviously if he gets in the left he's going to get in your way, so always good to see him walk down.
A good strat for that room is doing what he just did, is grab that left pot. Don't grab the right one, because if you grab the right one, the guard will notice you right away. But if you do the left, he probably won't see you sometimes.
So coming up on the Agahnim fight, probably one of the biggest sources of RNG in this entire run. What's going to happen is Agahnim will fire one shot that you can reflect back at him, and then he'll fire 3 more shots, which are a 50-50 that you'll either be able to reflect back at him, or there'll be a blue ball that you can't do anything with. So each blue ball loses 6 seconds, and then there's also a little lightning attack he does after 4 attacks, and that also takes about 6 seconds. So you can lose quite a lot of time here if you get some bad luck. If you pull a Scrivo, you can lose over 1.5 minutes, so we see 1 blue ball there from Void.
And then the thing is, after every lightning phase, you get a guaranteed energy shot, for sure.
Right. Yeah, the cycle repeats after the lightning shot. You get 1 shot that you can always reflect, and then 3 random ones. So one little optimization you're seeing here is Void's lining himself up in order to knock Agahnim closer to the center, which will kind of just mitigate how much time he takes to teleport from one place to the other. And it looks like Void's going to end up with 3 blue balls here.
Yeah, that seems to be our general average. 3 blue balls is a general average. course, after killing Agahnim, you land in the Dark World, where you get a telepath message from Sahasrara letting you know that, Link, you are the chosen hero. You must save this world now. Save these 7 maidens. They will then unlock the pyramid for us to then face our cruel enemy that has made our land into this distant Dark World place.
And then he also tells you how the weather is going over where he is. We see Void moving over. He's going to be going to Palace of Darkness first. It's kind of the last dungeon that you have to do. The game kind of opens itself up a bit, so we'll see a bit of a divergence from what is kind of considered the intended route. But you do have to go into Palace of Darkness first once you enter the Dark World.
Oh, those maidens love having FaceTime. Someone just asked why they have to be the most chatty. Well, they like to be on screen. Absolutely. It's Nintendo after all. Cat actually did one of my favorite strats in the chain guard room, where she taps door and lures them to the front of the door and does a spin attack, which then repels them twice because they're near a peg. So you actually hit them twice with that same exact spin attack.
Yeah, that's what I do in that room as well. I think a lot of people refer to it as the dinner bell, which is a fun name.
And Void is in one of our dungeons where you get many keys, so you're going to see him mirror a lot, grabbing all these keys so he can get further into the dungeon here.
Yeah, the Light World dungeons are pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of winding paths, but they like to kind of open them up in the Dark World, kind of make you go down multiple possibilities and kind of just have to find the right one. So in a palace, or in a dungeon like Palace of Darkness, there's a lot of different small keys you can get to and a lot of different ways you can take. So there's kind of been, I mean, at this point it's pretty figured out, but for a little while it was kind of a guess as to what was the actual fastest way through the dungeon. Cat having a little bit of trouble with the Ring of Pots, but does get out of it without too much issue. Does pick up that arrow drop, which will help her out nicely.
And of course, Emma telling us the true name of that strategy is Serve It Up Din Din.
That's cold-blooded. Space Cat could have just walked right by that guard, but she threw the boomerang to knock him off. That's cold-blooded right there. Unbelievable.
She kills both of them that way too.
It's a Void coming up on one of the biggest tricks in the run, called the Hammer Jump. It's a double pixel alignment here, both on the bomb and on Link, as he takes the damage. And it looks like Void does it very nicely. It also gets the bomb to open up the next door in the meantime, so really well done there from Void.
Alright, let's see how Cat fares in her battle here. Meanwhile, Void is about to head into our what we call the sexy statue room. There'll be this fancy statue hanging in that right corner there, where you have to push it. Let's see if he gets this correct, right? Oh, he missed. Basically, the idea of it is he can keep pushing that statue without even having to turn and move out to get that sexy statue.
Yeah, that statue is going to have to keep its day job for now. Very nice Agahnim there from Cat. I think I saw one blue ball, perhaps two, so a little bit of better luck for Cat there.
2 blue balls is definitely ideal.
I think most runners would be okay with 2. It's just that one extra lightning cycle you get if you get a 3rd blue ball. This kind of just adds to the agony of it. So now Void moving into the turtle room. This is a room that can cause a lot of havoc if it's done wrong. But it looks like Void is doing it absolutely perfectly. Well done.
And he's about to head into the first Dark World boss, which we call Helmasaur. You have to hit him 17 times with your hammer to break his mask. You can also use bombs, but bombs are hard to aim, and you have to wait for them to explode, so Void is holding out his sword because he can extend the hitbox for his hammer by doing so. It kind of extends it.
Really good fight there from Void. Uses the hammer on the second phase, which is a little bit more damage than sword slashes, so really well done there.
And we get our first Dark World crystal, and one of the first 7 maidens will now start speaking to Void.
You ever wonder what Kiki spends all that money you give him on? Does he even move from that spot? Like, is he still gonna... I'm gonna watch to see if he's still there. Like, what does Kiki need 110 rupees for, honestly? What's he gonna buy with that, you know?
Looks like someone said he wants bananas.
I mean, I guess that's what he would want, right? Okay, Kiki is no longer standing up there, so he does go somewhere. Where Kiki goes, we will never know, I guess. Alright, that room right there, especially the end there, is actually a lot scarier than it looks. That bird and the little flower enemy both do... the bird does 3 hearts of damage, the flower enemy does 2 hearts of damage. So taking a hit from either of them can really put you in a bad state. So really precise movement in order to avoid them and keep moving fast.
And you can see Void executing an item dash with the hammer. This is a Japanese 1.0 exclusive, where you can dash and press your item at the same time.
Yeah, I think most of the item dashes you'll see are with the hammer, but you can do it with any item. My personal favorite is the shovel dash. It's a lot of fun, even though you don't actually dig anything up. Oh, and it looks like Cat has forgotten a key. I'm not sure which one. Okay,
right there. Oh, we got it.
So that's not a big deal. So she picks that up and she'll be back on her way.
Yeah, she's making her way for her hammer jump attempt.
Void sneaking by Usain Bolt, the fastest guard in Hyrule. Plays a little tune in victory. Cat having some problems finding the right pixel for the bomb here. It's gonna be close. I think she can still make this, though.
Yeah, it's good that she keeps pause buffering. It slows the time where she can... Oh, she got hold up.
She was just a little bit off. I think she might have been off on Link's placement there. Yeah, it just makes hammer jump all the more difficult in the fact that you've got that bridge falling down. You really don't have a lot of time, which is why you'll see people use menu buffering in order to kind of line up.
Ooh, success!
Second try hammer jump, you'll take that. And Yushishi actually waits to open the chest a little bit so that the bomb exploding animation plays while the text is popping up. You gotta wait for both, so you might as well do them both at the same time.
And you see on Void's screen, he just got that quick warp. That's one of the free quick warps. If you enter that portal from the left, you always get that quick warp then. Saves about half a second.
I think each quick warp is like 34 frames, so when you can get them, they're definitely worth it. So now Void heading into Thieves Town, which is kind of considered the 4th dungeon in the natural route, but as we said, the game kind of opens up a little bit for you, gives you some options. And the reason that runners will go to Thieves Town is that the Titan's Mitts, the item of this dungeon, will allow you to get to the Tempered Sword, which will speed up basically everything else in the run. So it's kind of a mad dash to Thieves Town once you get into the Dark World.
And Void's about to head into one of our most dreaded rooms in this game, called the Hellway. Ooh, he gets the God Pixel.
Had to readjust himself, but does get the God Pixel, which allows you to just dash straight up through everything in that room. So it's really nice when you can pull that off, because having to deal with all of the enemies in that room is not fun.
Now you're wondering why Void's all the way up here. Well, there's this special bombing place here. Later on we're going to discover our true enemy of this dungeon. And it kind of involves that little light there we have here.
Cat with a pretty solid turtle room. Has to re-hit that last turtle to kill it, but otherwise pretty well done. And she'll be heading into Helmasaur.
Alright, Cat's doing pretty well against Helmasaur. Oh, he could have waited for the, one of the tricks about Helmasaur is on that very last hit, if you break his mask and he spawns the fireball, it'll despawn all the fireballs then, once you break the mask.
Oh, and she got a very rough pattern. Gets the fireballs and the tail swipe at the same time. Just tough to deal with all of that at once. She does take the death. So she's going to have to make her way back down to Helmasaur here. As we see Void picking up his Titan's Mitts, and he'll be heading back upstairs now.
And of course, Void takes a maiden with him, because he's a classy guy.
He's just taking her on a date.
And out comes our enemy. Our fake maiden was actually our boss. Now this boss is called Blind, and it's a pretty scripted fight. If you continue to do the fight in the same pattern, Blind will always move in the same exact rotation. Which is why it's very important you kill Blind in the first time you go through, because if you do die, and you face him the next time, he'll be hanging around the top.
Cat having a bit of a trouble with that hard hat beetle, decides just to take a death here and kind of reset everything. That red hard hat beetle has a ton of health, so trying to dash through it, and it just knocks you back, and it takes a lot of pokes to finally kill it and get rid of it. So now, kind of the second portion of farming rupees in this run, the last thing that the runners will need to buy is the flippers for 500 rupees. Luckily, in the Village of Outcasts, there's 2 different chests that have 300 rupees each in them. So they're picked up right now during this part of the run in order to basically handle all your rupee needs for the rest of the run.
Now the funny story about that particular chest is, let's say you didn't grab your blue boomerang and escape. That chest actually turns into a red boomerang, the magical boomerang.
Yeah, that chest is used in 100% actually. You never get the blue boomerang, you just wait and get the red boomerang from that chest later on. Cat having a pretty solid turtle room second time through, and meanwhile Void paying 10 rupees to get his sword taken from level 2 to level 3, which will basically speed up every single amount of combat he has for the rest of the run.
Alright, Cat is now back at the Helmasaur fight. Let's see how she fares this time around. And we may get some fence dash hype by Void. This is one of our favorite fences, or you can fence dash here. Nope, not this time.
Oh, nicely done there by Cat. She actually got kind of pinned in the corner there by Helmasaur, which looks a little scary, but actually allows you to just charge up and do a double spin attack to take him out quickly. So Cat does finally get through Helmasaur. What luck from Void there! Gets a bee from one bush and a skull from another. Nice prize pack, bushes.
Cat definitely clutched out that battle, didn't panic, took that spin attack like a champ, and finishes off Helmasaur.
Void moving into one of the most notorious rooms in the game, the mummy room of Skull Dungeon. Some very precise movement here to kind of get this statue lined up and try to not have to deal with these mummies as much as you can. You also have the Wall Master trying to grab you. There's just every awful thing that you could put in this game is all concise in that one room. But Void does finally get out of there after taking a couple of hits, so he's going to be a little wary on his health, but not too bad.
And he's coming up for another big chest here for another bomb jump.
And I do want to remind everybody that if you die in Skull Woods, you die for real. Nice bomb jump there from Void. We'll see if he just decides to... Yep, he does decide just to... Oh, okay, he boosts over. All right. So yeah, you can either fall in that hole, which takes another heart, but it is a little faster, or you can bonk across. Which, at Void's health, I think he wants to preserve just a little bit of it if he can.
Alright, if Cat's listening in chat, there is the walkable tree on your way into Lost Woods, where you can grab some apples. Because you want to have some health heading into Thieves Town, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Void into the second half of Skull Dungeon. Skull Dungeon is one of those... they give you a small key so you can unlock a door to get to another small key. So there's actually a ton of this dungeon that isn't done during the speedrun because it's just all pointless content that you don't need to see. So it actually makes it one of the faster dungeons in the entire route.
Let's see what Void does on this Mothula fight. He's probably going to go for one of those dash pokes in the beginning, the poke dash strat, so he can get a double hit. But we'll see how he fares here.
Wow,
whoa!
Really great Mothula fight there. That Moth can be a little bit of an annoyance if he decides to just kind of chill up in one of the corners. Any slash you'll do will actually poke him into the spikes, which the spikes negate all damage done to Mothula, so you can actually lose a ton of time on that fight for really no reason. This cat having a little trouble with Usain Bolt, but is going to grab her duck.
Let's see if Cat... Okay, she does. Okay, she's going to get that powder now.
Okay, that's right. We didn't mention that. Cat picked up the mushroom in the Lost Woods, which you can actually take to the witch here, and she'll make powder for you, which is a super useful item. I think it's one of the safeties that most people drop absolutely last. That allows you to turn anti-fairies and bunny beams into normal fairies, which is super useful throughout the entire dungeon. She can actually talk to the shopkeep here, which, yeah, she's doing. Oh, there we go. and that'll refill her health as well. So,
Whew.
very nice stop there for Cat.
And Void, of course, is heading towards the Quakefish, but he's using that bridge portal, which you get from killing Agahnim, and making his way from the pyramid over to the Catfish, which is on this side of the Dark World here.
We're gonna wake up the Catfish, who's just trying to have a nice nap.
Kind of funny because the sign says something opposite. It says, "Don't throw anything in here, please." And they still do it.
So another thing there, actually, you saw Void bonk against the side of the mountain there. Most people, myself included, actually just thought that was kind of just something fun to do while you're waiting for the Catfish to spring up, but that actually is a setup for a quick warp. If you just move straight up and down after bonking there, you're lined up perfectly to get a quick warp.
Alright, this is why we're grabbing those 500 rupees for, because these flippers are expensive.
I mean, King Zora has a monopoly over the finger webs. Nobody else is selling them, so I mean, he can name his price, really.
One of the important things is trying to maintain your health here, because there's a couple of rooms in Ice Palace where you just want to have those beams work. Mainly that first room, of course.
Really nice dashing there from Void. You see, like, it looked like he was almost over top of the deeper water, but he was just on the, kind of that last pixel in order to keep the dash. Ooh, that's a trolley Zora pattern there. Not really much he could do. Does lose his sword beams here, but luckily the backup strats for these rooms aren't too bad without sword beams. As we see Cat making her way upstairs in Thieves Town.
I'm actually really happy to see that both these runners are very well versed in understanding quick warps. Because Void did one yet again.
Yeah, quick warps, as somebody who's barely learned this game, quick warps are black magic to me, honestly. The ones that are free I can do some of the time, all the other ones that you have to line up, I just have no idea. So it's cool to see them nailing all of them.
Alright, we're about to see Void headed to the double Stalfos Night room where he's going to kill both of these guys with one bomb.
Yeah, it's a really fun room to do.
And guess what the next room is going to do?
Fun room alert. Void gets out there with only a couple of hits. Sometimes that room can just do whatever it wants to you. And you see he's lining up for probably the trickiest hammer jump, or trickiest bomb jump. Gets it first try. Very nicely done there. That skips probably about 2/3 of the dungeon. The intended route that they have you go through kind of loops around 2 or 3 times throughout this entire section. But by doing that bomb jump, you can actually have everything lined up so you don't have to go through everything.
Alright, Cat's making her way out with this fake blind following her.
She doesn't know that yet. Don't spoil her.
Oh, that's true. Shh, you didn't hear me say anything.
Void not quite getting that block push down. Does take a hit from the Stalfos Knight. He's a little low on health here, but he can still take 1 hit here from Cold Stare, or 2 from the balls that will fall from the sky.
Wow, really clean fight by Cat there. Not even taking a hit from Blind. And Blind not exploding in the light, which is the ideal situation you want.
And we see a pretty good Cold Stare fight from Void as well. You can keep those puffs in the corner and just slash them all down at once. They do escape just for a little teensy bit towards the end, but very nicely done. So now we get to hear two different maidens talk about the same thing for the next 45 seconds.
Alright, let's see what Void decides to do. Sometimes runners will opt to grab their Ether and the Ice Rod at this point, while others wait till they finish Swamp Palace.
Yeah, getting Ether and Ice Rod both require a flute to somewhere. So kind of when you do them isn't majorly important. I think the optimal route for getting them saves just a little bit of time. Looks like Void's just going to head straight to Swamp, pick up both Ether and Ice Rod after Swamp here. Really solid movement there to sneak by that guard.
Alright, you see that trick by Void is when he pushed the block, he pressed Y with the mirror equip, it'll actually make the block disappear.
Yeah, using items while you're pushing a block is something you can do on every version, but that trick where it causes the mirror to kind of cancel out the block is a Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch. So we see Cat actually opting to go down here and pick up half magic. Not a bad safety strat, it doesn't take a lot of time, and there are a couple of spots in the run where your magic usage is pretty important, so she's going to make sure, extra sure that she has plenty of magic for the rest of the run. As we see Void rolling through Swamp Palace. So Swamp Palace is technically the second Dark World dungeon you're supposed to go into, and after the craziness that is Palace of Darkness, the game kind of gives you a little bit of a break. The enemies here don't do as much damage. I feel like there's a bit of a step down in difficulty compared to the massive ramp up from Palace of Darkness. And so coming in here with Tempered Sword and even more hearts, you're pretty much decked out. So getting through Swamp isn't really that big of a deal, but it's kind of a dungeon that is, I think a couple people kind of refer to it as the dungeon of 1,000 paper cuts, where instead of losing a big chunk of time somewhere, you just lose a little bit here and there with all the enemies everywhere and taking little optimizations off the table. That's kind of where the separation comes.
The worst part about ice is with all this water in it, because Link's movement gets slowed down when he's in the water. Alright, a very important point. In this dungeon, you always want to hit that switch after you raise up the water, because our big key in the future, you're going to run into those pegs that you want them down.
Cat making her way through the mummy room here. Oh, and she gets kind of stuck there, gets grabbed by the Wallmaster there. She's going to have to reset it. Luckily, it just resets this one room, so you don't lose a lot of time, but kind of adds to the frustration of just wanting to get out of this really dumb room.
Yeah, this room is no fun.
Meanwhile, Void's picked up the Swamp Palace big key and is going to be heading towards the big chest.
Yes, this big chest contains one of my favorite items in this game.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of interesting things you can do with the hook shot. You'll see quite a few uses of it. Even though it's picked up this late in the run, it's used a lot throughout the rest of the run here.
Void does that hookshot item dash strat there. If you item dash that skull to the left, it puts Link in this like a different state, where then you can automatically pull that skull easily when you push the statue.
It's about to head into the second half of Skull Dungeon now, as Void making his way through the last few rooms. I'm curious to see if he's going to pick up the bomb in the refill room here. Yeah, it looks like he is going to grab it. Going to grab the arrows as well while he's there. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, you do need 2 bombs. One is because he still needs to pick up the ice rod, and 2, Misery Mire also requires a bomb.
Ooh, Void going for the Zero Cycle Argus. It looked like very close to getting it. Just 1 puff left over. Really solid fight there. And so clean up the second half of Argus. Really easy to do. Pretty solid swamp there from Void. We'll see how Cat fares against Mothula.
Really clean fight
Very
from
nice.
Cat.
Yeah, it looks like one of those hits did unfortunately hit the spike, so it got negated, but otherwise, you know, very well done. You have to react to what Mothula gives you, and Cat did very well there. Chat was unfortunately not getting to see the Zero Cycle. You hate to see that. Shoutouts to Swamp Palace, the maiden that talks the absolute longest. It's actually, the time difference between the different maidens isn't too great, but it seems like that Swamp Palace, man, she just goes on forever.
Hence I named her Chatty Cathy.
So I love that name. That's a great name. So here you'll see Void using the hook shot to item dash, and if you do that on stairs, that basically puts you in that same state as doing a spin dash. And then he also charges a spin there in order to pump up those stairs, and all that together saves about 2 seconds. So it's actually a ton of time saved in that little section just from using your items well. So really cool strats there. Void picking up the second required medallion, Ether, and he'll be using that immediately here as he goes to Mire. Oh, Space Cat loses the lottery there. That little enemy there can hop in a bunch of different directions, and there's really only one that will hit you. And Space Cat unfortunately gets that luck.
Cat remembering where to grab that bush to get extra hearts in case of damage.
Void grabs the ice rod. Now he'll be heading into Mire. He's basically got all of the items on the overworld he needs. see if he's a fan of the bird toss. Denying the bird toss. That's smart. Bird toss is a bad name. You can at me on that.
Meanwhile, King Zora still pertaining to King Ripoff, his true title. Monopolizing those slippers.
That was a beautiful mire too from Void there, utilizing sword beams, sword slashes, and the fire rod to clear all those enemies out extremely quickly. That was really well done.
That's why we always love to have sword beams in that room.
For those of you who don't know what bird toss is, that's our boy Walrus Prime's favorite activity.
Both runners do me proud today with all these quick warps I'm seeing.
Ooh, Void doesn't get the fire rod through the block there. Should still have plenty of time to get all the torches lit.
You know, one of the fun strats of backup, let's say you had less magic and you accidentally pushed the block the wrong way. Sometimes if you didn't push the block by the torch, you can still hookshot into the torch and light it up with a lamp for that room.
So we see Void kind of backtracking over to the big chest of Mire where he'll pick up the Cane of Samaria. Cat with a very nice Stealthless Knight room there.
And she will also be at the Ice Palace Bob Jump soon. Let's see how well she fares there.
No chest turn from Void. You hate to see that. Looks like Cat is lined up just right here for the Ice Palace bomb jump.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Void's about to head over to... Okay, this is why Void is maintaining his bomb count low, because once he uses his bomb, it'll immediately be able to switch over to the Fire Rod quickly, which I believe he's going to use at the Crystal Switch very soon after this.
Yeah, this is a cool little tiny optimization that you'd like to see. Cat gonna pick up the ferry there before heading down into Cold Stare. Not a bad call at all. Oh, Void falling just before getting to Vitreous's room. He's gonna have 6 hearts, which is a little scary, but if he does this well enough, he should be just fine.
Yeah, what Void's trying to do now is use the iframes of the goo so that he can spin attack these eyeballs and not take 4 hits of damage if he regularly got hit by the small eyes. Very nice.
Nice fight there. And Cat has a really solid Cold Stare as well. Looks like all the puffs were over top towards that corner, so good fights from both runners. We're going to see simultaneous crystals yet again.
It's just kind of funny how it ended up that way. It's like they're both doing boss fights at precisely the same time.
So I'm getting word that Void is 10 seconds off his PB right now. That's pretty cool. Having quite a solid run. Void getting trolled by this third trip up Death Mountain. And Cat having to deal with some bad luck too on her second trip up to get Ether.
Ooh, all these boulders.
It's really great that the worst screen in the game is the only one you have to do 3 times.
They did have to put the most deadly enemy in the entire Hyrule Kingdom on this Death Mountain. These unkillable squirrels. Unless you powder them, though.
I've actually never powdered a dead rock. What is that? Does that kill them? Or does that just make them killable?
It makes them killable. It turns them into these weird, like, onion squash-like thingies.
Huh. I want to have to bust that out next race. I hate dead rocks. I want to see them all dead. So Void moving into Turtle Rock, the last of the Crystal Dungeons, and definitely the most difficult. Cat looking like she was gonna go to Ice Rod there, but then decides just to head to Swamp, I guess. So, there you go.
Cat making me feel proud when I see them do all these quick works properly. There's that damage boost strat that Void did on his screen.
Very nice roller room. Each of those rollers will do 4 hits, so you definitely don't want to take more than 1 hit if you can help it. Oh, and Void gets knocked back onto the platform by the Stalfos there. Now, as you mentioned earlier, his prize pack should be set up so that one of these Pokies will drop a fairy. Looks like that'll come on his next drop.
Mm-hmm. A good indicator is when that heart dropped from that Poke there.
I'm having a little trouble with the Chain Chomp room, but gets out of it without taking any hits. And that's honestly all you can ask for sometimes, is just to not take any damage in that room. That's right, I'm being reminded in the chat there. Cat actually routes Ice Rod later on, as she messed up one time in the normal route on a run, and has just kept her splits that way to keep them consistent. As we mentioned, it's really not a big deal when you pick up either Ether or Ice Rod, just as long as you do it before you go into the dungeon that you need it for.
And there it is. On Void's side, he gets that prize pack fairy.
Yeah, so all that set up for the last hour, basically making Turtle Rock a lot less of a pain. So really nice when you can pull that off.
And one of the great rewards is coming into this... Oh, he got hit. Unfortunately. Just what I was about to say. You want to try to maintain sword beams for this one roller pin room.
Void with some okay luck there from the Pokies. They can move any one of 4 directions. You kind of want them to move close to you, obviously, so you can kill them faster, but handles it nicely.
Great use of King Samari there, using those iframes getting around the roller pin.
Yeah, that's a really nice backup strat when you pull it off. Cat remembering to hit the switch before she heads to the very west side of Swamp. Void swinging along to the music there, very nice.
Let's see what Void does for his laser skip. A lot of runners opt to use the KSMR strat where you knock off that hard hat beetle. There we go.
Wasn't quite lined up how he wanted that first time, but readjusts and makes it through really nice, really good laser skip there.
Yep, meanwhile Cat safely makes it across to the big key here.
Fun little Kana Samaria dash there to hit 2 different switches to get the switches how you want. And Void will be heading up to Trinex.
Let's see what strategy Void decides to do in this Trinex. Very nice, going for the 1 cycle strat there. Makes it easier if you go from the back.
Just a textbook Trinex there from Void, well done.
Yeah, this is the one boss where the item's going to drop in the middle of the screen because you can actually kill him off the screen. So Nintendo was very aware of that. So they make the heart drop right in the middle of the screen all the time.
Cat heading into the last section of Swamp here. Just a few more rooms before she gets to the Argus fight. She's at 4 hearts right now, which isn't the best, obviously, but should be just fine here. Nothing should give her too many troubles here.
She should be okay. There's some safety hearts on her way very soon after you go through the waterfall.
Yeah, I think she'll probably stop here in the refill room to grab them. And she does. Going for it, she does get 1. So the reason she hook-shotted that heart is it can actually sometimes give you 2 hearts for the price of 1. So she does get 1 double heart out of that. She gets a little bit more. So some good quick thinking there from Cat. She'll have a nice and straightforward Argus fight as Void rolls on into Ganon's tower.
Yeah, one smart thing to note is you want to get low when you open the Ganon's tower because the crystals will actually spawn sooner. And that helps you open the tower quicker.
So I'm getting word Void's about 13 seconds off his PB here, so not sure exactly how his endgame was, but definitely within striking distance here, so he's having a great run.
Yeah, while Cat finishes off Argus, yeah, nothing to worry about. Very good job.
One of my favorite things about Ganon's tower is just how many times you swap items. You use the hookshot, the hammer, the boomerang, and you just keep constantly switching between all of them. And then you bust out the arrows. Just so many different things that you use in order to get through these rooms quickly. It's a lot of fun to do well.
And Void's keeping that bomb count low again because he's going to opt for another quick menu. The minute he uses that bomb, he'll be able to automatically switch to the fire rod, which he's going to be able to switch right over to the bow immediately for this Armos fight he's about to do.
Picks up 5 extra arrows in that top pot just for safety. See if Void can get revenge from those Armos knights from earlier. Very nice.
Good. He also has enough arrows for the mimics. Just gonna grab these 10 just to be sure.
Yeah, not a bad call in a race, just to pick up those 10 extra arrows to make doubly sure that you don't have to worry about your count. And it also gives you some extra ammo for Gauntlet, which is always nice. Cat not even going to entertain the thought of a bird toss. Kills the bird before it even gets close. Void having a little trouble with Mimics too there, but does get through it just fine.
Alright, Void's about to head over to Ganon Ball Z here, and meanwhile, Cat's in Mire 2.
Void's moving through what we call the Gauntlet. It's kind of a one last group of rooms where you have to kill all the enemies in order to get out, and there's ice and BMOS and conveyor belts and just everything to kind of get in your way to make these rooms as difficult as possible. Void with a pretty good job there on the Gauntlet. We'll now be moving into Land Mode 2, which is getting considerably easier with the addition of Fire Rod. Oh, he misses a couple shots. You hate to see that. Looks like he's going to have a 2-cycle here. Oh, and gets a trolley pattern, so it's actually a 3-cycle.
Yep, it short hopped him there.
He's going to pick up that safety hardy. He's a touch low on health, a little lower than you'd like, but not anything to be worried about just yet. Always fun to see that Wizrobe room strat.
We already got past 2 of the Light World bosses. As you can see, this is a repeat, but with better equipment now, these boss fights have become much, much easier. It's also very wise of Void to enter that room after waiting till he hears the chime, because what happens is if you do enter that room the same time that chime happens, you can despawn all of Ganon's tower.
Right, and while that sounds great, you actually do need to be able to kill Agahnim 2 in order to progress through the game. So you do have to make sure he does spawn. So I believe if you do that, your only option is just to mirror out and reset, which obviously loses quite a lot of time. So Cat picking up Cane of Samaria, she'll be headed downstairs now as Void moves up to our old friend Agahnim, who has brought a couple of clones along this time.
The only good part about this fight is the 2 clones will always shoot energy balls.
Yeah, so gotta kind of use your skills of angles in order to reflect as many of these shots back into Agahnim as you can. Oh, it gets 2 blue balls from the normal Agahnim. That's never fun. But it does get the kill on Agahnim too.
Void showing his displeasure.
Yeah, he had a couple of patterns there that were just nothing you can do about it. I'm curious to see what Void's going to do here, if he's just going to go straight into Ganon. If he takes damage from basically anything in this fight, he'll die. And he's going to go right in.
Alright, we're going to have, yet again, simultaneous boss fights.
Void getting some pretty nice luck there in order to get this 1-in-1. And only one Ganon warp, so that's very good luck. So now just onto the fourth phase. Ooh, does miss the swing to get that first spin on the Ganon. But does get the torch glitch. So now that right torch will actually never go out. And Void will just have to manage keeping the left torch lit. And the way he's doing damage to Ganon is normally you need the silver arrows in order to hit him. But if you actually hit him while he's warping, it'll count as damage. So he needs 12 spins from the Tempered Sword in order to take out Ganon.
He's doing really well.
Really good Ganon fight there from Void. Nice run.
I think, is he on PB pace? He might PB.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that... Oh, looks like he's...
just missed it. Just missed it. I thought Fanfare was almost right there. Almost.
So Speed Racing TV has him at a 127.54. He's got a 127.51 on his splits. Very nice run from Void there. Our man Void just potting 127s. We'll see if he wants to get in here for an interview.
Meanwhile, Kat's on her way to Turtle Rock. She survived a very decent midi fight. No issues there. Alright, looks like we're going to try to get Void in here as Kat makes her way through Turtle Rock. Yep, those jellies are mean. If you walk right into them, they'll knock you off the platform. Still love that strat. Light up the torches, use one of your hook shot on one of the torches, again at the start of the room again, make your easy climb.
It looks like we are joined by Void.
Hey Void, congratulations on finishing your race.
Or maybe joined by Void, I don't know yet.
Okay, looks like Cat got through the chain chomps room.
Yeah, nice chain chomps there. Meanwhile, so we're trying to sort through getting Void on comms here.
Cat wisely enters the door from the top. That actually helps out. The laser not hitting you there.
She picks up the boss key and we'll be continuing on here. So she's going to bring out that power just to use on the anti-fairies at the top of the room.
Let's see how Pokey-Doo does for her. Good safety option.
Yeah, just swinging out towards that fire rod. Pretty solid backup option as it takes care of the Pokies with one swing. And with her half magic, that's going to be basically not a worry for her. So good call there. Nice room there as well.
All right, she's taking out the hook shot. It's smart of her. If she hook shots, she can use the invulnerability of it so that these fire bars won't hurt her. Alright, Cat's heading to the laser skip room here.
I was a little too high there and falls into the hole. Takes some damage, but she does have the powder and there's plenty of anti-fairies in the next room, so not a big concern here. So she'll be just fine as she makes her way through this last room before Trinex.
Alright, Cat is heading into the Trinex battle here. She's gonna hit 5 shots and switch over to the fire rod because you can't menu when the head is exploding.
Hello?
Hello!
Welcome, Void.
Alright, I figured it out.
Well,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. More official congratulations now. Now that I can speak.
Cat Cat had a little bit of a scare there, but does get through Trinex. So she'll be on her way to Ganon's Tower now. So Void, let's talk about your run. Let's any spots that you were quite happy with, any spots you weren't too happy with. Just kind of walk us through it.
So I got a gold Thieves. That was pretty much the highlight of the run. As soon as I got Hellway, I was like, this is like a good Thieves. Like this could be good stuff. And sure enough, I think I golded by like 3 seconds. Rest of the run, I mean, I saved time on Agahnim's tower because I had I saved 3 blue balls worth over my PB. But Light World in general was like, I was not happy with Light World at all. Like from the Armos fight, which went like pretty poorly up to the Agahnim fight itself, I was like pretty far behind. But I played pretty solid through Dark World, leading up to Ganon's Tower actually, because and I knew I could save a lot of time in Ganon's Tower, but I didn't save quite enough because of the Landmo 2 and Agahnim 2 as well. Those fights kind of went poorly, and then it was not really like out of frustration that like I had a not like necessarily a bad Ganon, but like it was not quite good enough to PB after that, because I was dead even with my splits after Ganon's Tower, despite everything that happened, which really surprised me.
Yeah, I think really the only 2 things that stuck out in terms of bad errors were that was the Armos Knight fight in Eastern and then the Landmo 2. But yeah, otherwise you played incredibly solidly, had really good fights with just about every boss. You just barely missed the 0 cycle on Argus. So just that was stuff all around.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like I had a decent swamp, and I was like, I mean, yeah, here we go again. Like I'm probably gonna get destroyed by Argus, like I always do. But then, like I barely missed the 2 cycle, and that really surprised me. Yeah, it's probably gonna happen soon that I'll clutch it in a run.
Yeah, it looks like you were right on the cusp of getting it.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think if my Light World went better, that would have easily PB'd, but that'll have to wait for another time. I'm still happy with the gold split that I got for sure.
Yeah, all around a very solid run.
You made me proud, Void. You hit all the quick works today.
Did I? I don't think I did all of them. I hit some of them, but some of them I also like the Mire quick warp. I was pretty disappointed that I missed it.
It's okay. But you got all the free ones though.
Yeah, and also another thing, I'm sorry to disappoint all my fans for not doing Bird Toss, but because the death-mounted segment went pretty well, I decided to opt otherwise, because I know like my Mire, at least compared to like top players, is like, it's like my gold Mire is probably my strongest gold out of all the golds that I have. And I knew that like my overall was good enough for potentially gold that segment, so that's why I didn't go for Bird Toss, but stay tuned for next run.
Nice. So we see Cat taking a slightly safer strat here on the Armos Knights 2. Not a bad call, because as soon as something goes wrong in this fight, it goes wrong really fast. So she does get through it and kills them all nicely there. Looks like she's also going to grab the safety arrows before heading back up.
Very wise decision of her.
So Void, while we still have you here, that does move you to 1-0 in the group. I don't know if you've set up any of your other races yet, but is there anything else you feel like you are going to work on before your next race, or kind of just keep on keeping on?
Well, Josh dropped by in my chat after I was done with this race, and he said, "Hi, practice G Tower, thanks." So I guess I'll do that, but just probably Dark World in general. Like I feel like my segments are all solid, but like just pushing them a little bit further could nail me some nice golds. So that's really what I want to work on. And just like in general, finishing more runs to build up consistency, I think is the way to go for this game.
Right, that makes sense. Do you see Cat opting to stop by the room that kind of has fairies? Basically, you can refill anything and everything you want here. So just gonna pick that up so that she gets back up to full health.
Yep. The one place that Nintendo designed for you to intentionally bonk to get to. And now Cat's in Gauntlet.
Gonna switch the fire rod early. I'll just use that if she needs to. Like I said, she has double magic here, so she can use that pretty liberally if she needs to. And a pretty solid gauntlet there from SpaceKat.
Alright, Lab Mola's 2 time.
And she makes it out in 3 cycles.
Alright, Wizrobe 2. Oh, try to go the reverse way.
No, he does hug a Wizrobe there. It takes 4 hearts, but she's still okay, and there's plenty of fairies here towards the end, so not really worried about her health just yet, as we see Void firing up some Mortal Kombat 3.
Alright, this room's important. Kinda wanna wait till the chime goes by. Never want to despawn Gan's Tower. Yep.
And okay, it looks like she is gonna. I thought maybe she was opting to not grab that fairy, but does decide to go pick it up before moving into Moldorm 2.
Very nice. Just takes 1 slash and a spin attack to take down Moldorm 2.
To answer the question in chat, more or less, you can't progress. So you basically have to just mirror out and restart the second half of Ganon's Tower in order to continue on. But you aren't completely locked.
Alright, here goes the Agahnim 2. Let's see if Cat gets a great pattern here. Oh, let's see.
That might have been 2 hits or 1. If they hit at the exact same time, it does only count as 1. So she's either got 3 hits in or 2. I'm not quite, or 3 hits in or 4. I'm not sure.
Oh, that blue ball.
So she must have had a double hit. So she's 1 away here.
All right, here we go.
Good fight. Yeah, looks like SpaceKat could potentially PB here. She's pretty close to it.
All right, let's see how Cat fares. We'll take 12 hits in the beginning first phase to move on to the second.
Well, it doesn't look like she gets the 1 cycle on the first phase here.
Making good use of the hook shot.
So it looks like a 2 and 2. A little bit of a tough warp up top there for that second phase, so not too bad.
Good that she's on the third phase now. It's a little bit more manageable because if you hit Ganon prior to him shooting any fire bats, he will not shoot any fire bats up.
And no warps there, so good luck. And she does get the torch glitch, so she is just 12 spins away from victory here.
Right? She's doing pretty good. She wants to try to get 3, but at the minimum 2 per cycle.
Yeah, getting 3 requires very good reaction and Ganon kind of moving in ways where you can get those 3 in there. But yeah, if you get 2 a cycle, that's pretty good.
There we go.
I'm not sure how many seconds are on her PB, but this might be a PB for SpaceKat.
I believe it is.
Speed Racing has her at a 149.50, but her splits have her at a 149.28. So very well done by SpaceKat. So looks like we're going to maybe get SpaceKat here in for an interview. While we do that, we will take a look at the schedule. Looks like tomorrow we've got some Dark Souls races, more Link to the Past NMG tournament, Diddy Kong Racing, Rockman 2, just a lot of different awesome stuff. Not all scheduled yet, but all on the list of things that you'll see on the various speed gaming networks. Okay, I think we've got SpaceKat here.
Yes, we do. Congratulations, Kat.
Thanks. Nice job, Void.
Thank you.
So, Kat,
Was that a PB
Sorry?
for you, Kat?
Yeah, was that? We're
I
not sure.
think so. Here, let me check.
Were you just running with a timer?
Yeah. 140.53. Oh, 149.29. 1 second PB.
Oh, 1 second PB, amazing.
Never want a PB by too much.
Never want to PB by too much.
I played like such garbage. I don't know how I got that time.
You closed out very well, honestly. You had really good dungeons on the back half of the run.
Yeah, that felt pretty good, but I screwed up. I choked so hard in the beginning, like really choked. Hi, Dad. My dad. Did everyone love the commentary?
I doubt it. I mean, they love EA, but I don't know about me so much.
This is my first time hearing EA's voice. I do like it.
Yeah, you had some great moments, though. I mean, you had some of the most clean boss fights. Your blind fight was really, really clean. The when you have blind exploding outside of the light, that's like the perfect situation.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that happened. That was really, really clean. I always fall in Hera at the bomb jump. I always fall there.
Yeah, and I think you had that death to Helmasaur as well, which was maybe the other bigger mistake. But honestly, other than that, I feel like you played really well.
Yeah, Mothula went pretty well, actually.
Yeah, you guys both had really exceptional Mothula fights. For a boss that can be super trolly and just cause all sorts of issues, you both did very well.
Ice Palace did pretty well, too, actually, now that I think of it.
I actually forgot that my moth fight was really good that run.
Yeah, you both just cleaned it up
Yeah.
so quickly. So, Kat, anything you think you are going to work on specifically before you? I know you've got one more racing groups here. Anything you're going to look at before you face off against Barn Owl?
That's a good question. I don't know. I should practice maybe the bosses. I don't have a lot of time because our race is next week. But I don't have a lot of time to like perfect movements. But I'll try and think of anything that I could work on. So like boss fights for sure.
Right, right.
You did me proud, though, Kat. You had a lot of great quick warps, and that's what I said about Void too. I'm really glad when I see runners hit those warps.
Shoutouts to Greenham. I think it was Greenham that had his stream that he was teaching stuff, and then he went through quick warps.
Oh, I should have watched that stream then. I hope the VOD is still there.
Yeah, they've done a few different ones. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly where I learned all the quick warps.
Because some of them, like, I get sometimes, but like I don't really have reliable visual cues. Like the one right before Hera, like I basically just wing it. So hopefully he can help with that.
Yeah, that one's pretty iffy. I'm more consistent on like the squares, just knowing to
Yeah.
go left to right or up or down.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and then I think I learned a little bit on outside of mire and somewhat outside of swamp. I think those two are kind of 50-50 for me.
All right, well, thanks Void and thanks SpaceKat for the race. It was a lot of fun to watch and commentate. Thanks Hie for hopping along with me. And
Yeah, thank you guys for commentating the race.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And Void, it was an honor to race you, even though I knew I didn't really have much of a chance.
All I wanted, honestly, was that we had like runs that could like match our PBs, or that like could PB. When you actually PB'd, and I was only 8 seconds off. So that's like I'm pretty happy about that. Consider that a success. Like despite the huge difference in like times and whatnot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And congrats on partner. That's awesome. That's the victory right there.
Oh my god, thanks, Void.
Someone in chat had to ask, Void, how do you keep your beautiful hair?
How do I keep my beautiful hair? Well, I don't do anything special with them, actually. I wash them maybe like once every other day. I brush them maybe once every other day. It's natural gameplay, yeah.
It's macro natural hair, very nice.
There's no secret to it, honestly. I hope there was, but there isn't. The beard, though, like, I cannot, like, that's classified, I'm sorry.
Classified information.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, thanks so much.
I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. Hope you all enjoyed the race, and I hope you all have a good night.
Have a wonderful night. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Rolling out.
Rolling out.
Take care, everyone.